Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. When we talk about how much long penis a woman can take, it's easy to think the answer is just a number, some measurement that could settle the debate once and for all, but the truth is it's so much deeper than that, because intimacy is not a math problem, it's a human experience that lives at the intersection of biology, psychology, and emotion. And when you strip away the bravado, the myths, and the insecurities, what you find is that a woman's body is not only capable of adapting to different sizes, it's also wired to respond most powerfully to connection, safety, and the way she feels in the moment. The vagina itself is one of the most remarkable organs in the human body, elastic and adaptable, designed to accommodate something as monumental as childbirth, yet delicate enough that pressure in the wrong way or at the wrong time can feel overwhelming. So biologically speaking, most women can comfortably take an average range of length when aroused, but what people miss is that comfort and pleasure are not dictated by biology alone, they are dictated by arousal, trust, and emotional readiness. Without those elements, even what might seem like a comfortable size can feel like too much, and with those elements, the body can open, relax, and handle more than people would expect, which tells us something very important. The limit is not purely physical, it is contextual. Think about the way the body responds to desire. When a woman feels wanted, when she feels cared for, when foreplay is not rushed but honored, her body changes, muscles soften, blood flow increases, lubrication makes everything easier, and the vaginal canal elongates and expands, meaning she can take more length with comfort and sometimes even crave it, not because the number matters, but because her mind and body are aligned. Now compare that to the opposite scenario. When she feels pressured, when there's no emotional buildup, when it's rushed or careless, her body resists, her muscles tighten, and what could have been a pleasurable experience becomes uncomfortable, even painful. So the question is not just how much length a woman can take, the real question is under what circumstances, with what partner, in what emotional state, because those factors are the true variables that determine the experience. And here's the part most men overlook. Women do not sit around comparing exact inches the way men think they do. They talk about how a man makes them feel, whether he listens, whether he pays attention, whether he knows how to use what he has with confidence and skill instead of insecurity and ego. Many women will say size beyond a certain point doesn't add anything except discomfort, because the most sensitive areas are in the first few inches, which means technique, rhythm, and attentiveness matter far more than raw measurement. If a man is confident, present, generous, and tuned in, the experience is satisfying regardless of length, and if he is self-centered and careless, no amount of length will make up for it. So when men obsess over this question, what they are really revealing is their own insecurity, because women are not asking this question in the same way. Women are asking whether they will be cared for, whether they will be understood, whether intimacy will feel like connection instead of performance. The body can take more than people think, but the mind decides whether she wants to, whether she enjoys it, whether she feels fulfilled, and that is the truth that cuts through the myth. When intimacy is built on communication, trust, and mutual desire, the question of how much length she can take becomes irrelevant, because the only measure that matters is whether she felt seen, satisfied, and eager for more. That is the real answer, and it's not found in inches but in intention. A woman's body is designed in ways that most people never fully appreciate, and when we start talking about how much length she can take, what we need to understand first is the natural adaptability and intelligence built into her biology. The vagina is not a rigid space with a fixed measurement, it is a dynamic organ that can expand, contract, and change depending on her level of arousal, comfort, and emotional state. At rest, the vaginal canal is typically only 3 to 4 inches deep, yet during arousal, it lengthens and widens to create space for penetration, and during childbirth, it can expand to accommodate a baby passing through. That adaptability tells us something powerful. Her body is capable of handling more than most imagine, but whether or not that experience is pleasurable depends entirely on the circumstances surrounding it. A woman may be physically capable of taking length, but if her body isn't fully aroused, if she doesn't feel safe, if she isn't mentally connected, the experience can turn from pleasurable to uncomfortable in an instant. Comfort and pleasure are never about measurement alone, they are the result of emotional connection, trust, and presence. When she feels desired, respected, and cared for, her body naturally relaxes, blood flow increases, lubrication develops, and her muscles soften. These physiological changes make it possible for her body to comfortably take more, but it's not because her body suddenly decided to stretch for the sake of size, it's because her mind and body are aligned in readiness. The brain is the most powerful sexual organ, and when her brain feels secure and engaged, her body responds in ways that enhance the physical experience. On the other hand, when she feels pressured, objectified, or disconnected, her muscles tighten, her lubrication decreases, and her ability to take length diminishes. That means the real limit isn't just in her anatomy, it's in the environment and the connection she shares with her partner. This is why so many people misunderstand the question of size. They think it's about how much a woman's body can endure, but it's really about how much her body welcomes. A woman can adapt to length, but what makes that adaptation enjoyable is whether or not she feels emotionally and physically safe in the experience. That's why comfort and pleasure cannot be measured with a ruler, because they depend on trust, foreplay, and the way her partner makes her feel in every moment. In truth, a woman's body is limitless in its adaptability, but the real measure is not how much she can physically take, it's how much she wants to, and that comes from connection, not size. The most sensitive parts of a woman's body are not hidden deep inside but located right within the first few inches of the vaginal canal, and this fact changes the entire conversation about size and satisfaction. So often men grow up believing that bigger automatically means better, that the deeper you go the more pleasure she feels, but biology tells a very different story. The nerve endings that create the richest sensations, the ones responsible for the majority of pleasure during penetration, are clustered close to the entrance. This means that length beyond a certain point doesn't add to the experience in the way people assume it does. In fact, if a partner is too focused on reaching maximum depth without paying attention to her cues, it can actually create discomfort or even pain. What women want is not endless length, but the kind of mindful attention that stimulates those sensitive areas in a way that makes her body light up. When you realize this, you also begin to see how unnecessary the obsession with measurements really is. A man who understands that pleasure is not about hitting a maximum limit but about stimulating the right places in the right rhythm holds an advantage no number can compete with. Women consistently say that what matters is not how far you go in but how intentional you are in every movement, how present you are in every touch, and how willing you are to listen to her body's signals. That's where satisfaction is created, in the subtleties, not the extremes. And there's another layer here. Because the first few inches are the most sensitive, this area is also the one most influenced by emotional arousal. If she feels excited, connected, and cared for, those nerve endings respond more intensely. If she feels rushed or disconnected, they dull down, no matter the size involved. This is why two very different partners can produce two very different experiences with the same anatomy, because one is tuned in and the other is not. Women will tell you that when their partner is confident, gentle yet passionate, and able to read their signals, those first few inches become a playground of endless possibilities. When their partner is careless, rough, or preoccupied with ego, those same inches feel flat or uncomfortable. So the reality is that size beyond a certain point does not guarantee anything. What matters most is presence, skill, and the ability to focus on the areas where pleasure is actually concentrated. The truth is that the first few inches carry the greatest potential for satisfaction, and when a man understands that, he stops worrying about what he can't control and starts excelling in what he can.